Morning, this is Master Serv, creature of Rye, member of the Volkrog clan. This morning, I have been asked to read you the prologue from The United, the Realm of the Light, Book 1, the Rye Saga, by James Quinlan Meservy. And without further ado, let us turn to the prologue. Prologue. Morning, JC, Old Man Jones said. JC put down his rake and looked up. How was fishing? JC asked. Old Man Jones pointed at the cooler on his lap. Successful enough to make you dinner if you're interested. Oh, I am interested, JC said. But my friends are waiting for me. What are you guys doing? Old Man Jones asked. Camping, JC said. I should have guessed, Old Man Jones chuckled. I don't want to keep you waiting, so I'll be side if you need any. Do you need any help? JC asked. To hear you talk, one would think I could not manage on my own unless you were here, Old Man Jones said as he rolled his wheelchair down his front path, up the ramp to the front porch. He turned to JC and smiled. If you need anything, holler. You know, I know Jones, as a creature of Rye, member of the Dog Clan, and it is hard to believe that he would have ever accepted any help. Sorry for the interruption. I promised James that I wouldn't do that. Let us continue with reading the prologue. JC nodded and returned to his yard work. JC's a good guy, too. I've gotten to know him fairly well. As a creature of Rye, he is a member of the Wolf Clan, and a very good man. I get along with him very well. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it again. The smell of fried fish, oh, I love fish, filled the house when JC entered Old Man Jones' home later that afternoon. He went to the kitchen expecting to find his friend cooking lunch, but the kitchen was empty. JC looked at the stove. The burner was off. The pan with the fish was empty, and the fresh fried fish was sitting on a plate on the table. Jones? JC called out. Sorry, I call him Jones. I never knew him in mortality when he was known as Old Man Jones, so when I see this, I just say Jones. My bad. I'm in here, Jones replied. I just finished. I need to get going before Casey, Daniel, and Robert think I've forgotten about them. Why don't you come in here for just a minute, Jones called out. JC shrugged and followed the sound of his friend's voice into a bedroom. It was a room JC had never before entered. The walls were bare, and the room only contained two pieces of furniture, a crib and a dresser. Did I ever tell you how I lost the use of my legs? Old Man Jones asked. I always figured you were injured in the war, JC replied. That I was, Jones confirmed. Although JC didn't know that it was not the type of war he was thinking about. Sorry, I'm doing it again. I will go back to just reading. Are you sure you won't be staying for dinner? Old Man Jones asked. Not today, JC replied. All right, see you again next Saturday? You can plan on it, JC replied. JC always loved. He told me recently. He always loved working with Old Man Jones. Did his heart good to do some service for an old friend. Especially an old friend caught up in a wheelchair, although I still can't believe Old Man Jones was ever caught in a wheelchair. Sorry, Jones. I can't believe he was ever caught in a wheelchair. That boy can get around, especially when he turns into his Siberian Husky calling form. All over the place, that one is. Hard to keep track of. I guess he's making up for lost time from being in a wheelchair during mortality. When JC reached the campsite, where his friends were supposed to be, he was surprised to find it abandoned. So would I. Daniel, Robert, and Casey. I know them as well. They're great guys. They would never leave a campfire abandoned. That is very unusual. Sorry, doing it again. Going back to the book. The fire was blazing unattended. Uncovered food was sitting out on the table. The tent was only half assembled, and his friends were nowhere in sight. Casey, Daniel, Robert, JC called out, walking around the campsite, but his echo was the only response. Then something caught his eye that caused the blood in his veins to freeze. On the ground next to the picnic table was his sketch of the Hobbiton legend of the Manadone. JC stared at the sketch for a long moment. How did he find me? JC asked, falling to his knees. JC heard the call of a kestrel and watched as the falcon flew to the ground and stood before him. What do I do now? Kestrel looked down at the pencil sketch, called, and flew off. Great, but first I need to clean up this mess. I'll be right behind you. Sorry, he didn't actually say I'll be right behind you. That was my add-on. I'm getting carried away by the story. I'll go back to reading. JC cut the engine of Casey's truck and stepped onto the gravel parking lot of Cave Spring. You know, JC still talks about that truck, and so does Casey. They loved that thing. He stumbled onto something, but caught his balance before he fell. He looked down and was not surprised to see a battle axe lying on the ground at his feet. I would not have been surprised either, especially if I'd run into Kestrel earlier that day. "Lord Yermaquay, show yourself," he said. A large wolf stepped out of a small-looking cave and into the center of the parking lot. "I knew there was at least one more of you," the wolf said. "Tell me, are there more of you?" "I am the last of my line," JC lied. JC told me he always felt bad about the lie, but felt that it was necessary. Oh, sorry. "To what do I owe this pleasure?" Lord Yermaquay said. "You stole 3 of my friends," JC said. "Perhaps I have," the wolf smiled. "What are you going to do about it?" "I am here to barter for their release," JC replied. "What do you have that would be of equal worth to your 3 friends?" Lord Yermaquay eyed JC's weapon and added, "That battle axe will never allow me to wield her. I love Boybrush." And no, she would have never allowed Jacob Hunter to touch her. "You release my friends." Oh, JC put the weapon down at his feet. Sorry, I lost my place. "I offer myself, the last living descendant of King Armaquay of Mur." "Your terms?" the wolf asked. "You release my friends and allow them to live undisturbed," JC said. "Agreed," the wolf said. JC removed his sunglasses. Looking JC in the eye, Lord Yermaquay added, "Your friends are already creatures of Rye. Do we still have a deal?" JC attempted to turn away and cover his eyes, but he was too late. He was under the hypnotic suggestion of the wolf.